What is up, Dan Vegas? Man, I miss you guys. I hope you guys have been keeping up with us over the last few weeks. Hope you guys have enjoyed seeing Chloe, Nicole, Laura give messages. But guys, I'm back. I'm ready to share a message with you guys and hopefully ready to encourage some of you guys as well. Today, we're going to be starting a new series called The You Effect. Now, I promise I'm not going to keep you long. I know it's a beautiful day outside today. I know you guys might be wanting to go outside and do something, want to go hang out with some family or some friends. So I promise you guys I'm going to try to keep today's message short, but I'm going to try to break it down as much as I can. Now, this You Effect that we're talking about is all about influence. Now, I want you guys to know everybody has influence. Everybody has an impact on somebody. You might not think that you have very much impact on somebody else, but I'm here to tell you, and the Bible's here to tell you today, that you have more impact on other people than you think. You know, I always try to remember how other people are looking at me. Because even though I might not think I have an impact on other people's lives, somebody is always looking at me. Somebody is always watching. And they're not always watching to be a skeptic. They're not always watching to see if I'm going to do something that is godly or that is going to help them out or benefit them in some way. But somebody is always watching. And I know the same is true for you. Somebody is always watching you as well. I want you guys to think about a friend that you have. Think about somebody who always is in the spotlight, always is in the limelight. You know, for me, it's one of my friends. His name is Justin. He is a funny guy. He is somebody who I just absolutely love being around because his attitude, his personality is just always so welcoming. Whatever crowd he is around, he just shines. He is in his element. And he always brings out the best in people. Can you guys think of somebody like that for yourself? Somebody, it might be somebody at school, it might be somebody in your family, but who do you think has a big impact in your life? Now, if you can think of somebody like that, somebody who's always happy, somebody who's always cheerful, somebody who's always helpful, if you can think of somebody like that, maybe you think that you might not, if you think about how one of your friends has a big impact on your life, and then you think, well, I'm just boring. I don't have much impact. Nobody cares about me. I don't really impact anybody. I'm going to tell you guys today that that is absolutely not true. And I'm going to explain it from a story that's found in John. We're going to read the story that's in John chapter 6, and it is about how Jesus fed thousands of people with 2 loaves of bread and 5 fish. Now, in this story, if you think about it, everywhere Jesus went, he had influence. Everywhere that he went, he was performing miracles. He was saving people, helping people in some way. So every single story that is about Jesus, we can see that people follow him. People love to be around him. He had influence. He influenced people to be better people. He influenced people to go out and share their faith. He was just an influential person. So I'm going to read this story to you guys. It's in John chapter 6, and then I'm going to break it down a little bit for you. So as we see, it says, sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far side of the shore of the, I'm having problems reading today. I'm excited to go outside. All right, let me just calm my nerves and focus. Sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is, the Sea of Tiberias, and a great crowd of people followed him because they saw the miraculous signs he had performed on the sick. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover feast was near. I flipped way too much. That's one thing about paper Bibles. You got to make sure you don't flip too many pages. So as I continue, I'm going to reread a sentence or two. Then Jesus went up on the mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover feast was near. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming towards him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered, 8 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Here's a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many? Jesus said, have the people sit down. There was plenty of grass in that place, and the men sat down, about 5,000 of them. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them amongst those who were seated, and as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they had all enough to eat, he said to his disciples, gather the pieces that are left over, let nothing be wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. After the people saw the miraculous sign that Jesus did, they began to say, surely this is the prophet who has come into the world. Jesus, knowing that they intended to come and make him king by force, withdrew again to a mountain by himself. So as we look at this story, as if you think about any story that's in the Bible, Jesus was always performing miracles. If you think about Jesus in the way that he affects other people, we already know that he is going to affect other people. He's Jesus. He's the most powerful. He's God's son. He does great things. He can do things that nobody expected him to do. Now, us today, we think about Jesus. We can read all of his stories. We can see all the things that he did. So we would be on the side of, well, I know this is Jesus. I know what he can do. So I'm going to follow him. But back then, they didn't necessarily, everybody didn't know about Jesus. So when he traveled around to different lands, people had heard about him. And then there were some people that hadn't heard about him. But all the people who heard about him, they wanted to see him in action. So wherever he showed up, multitudes of people also showed up. But this story isn't about Jesus and the signs that he performed. Today, I'm going to talk about a few different people. You know, the most important question I'm going to ask you guys today is, who had the biggest impact in this passage? Do you think it was Jesus because he performed miraculous signs? He fed thousands and thousands of people. I mean, the passage only says that 5,000 men were seated. But as you can see from the passage, there was a little boy. So we don't know how many boys, we don't know how many women, we don't know how many kids there were there. So there was a lot more than 5,000 people there. So who had the biggest impact in this story? Some could say it was the disciples. I mean, they had great impact just from association. Because they hung out with Jesus, because people saw them hanging out with Jesus, other people thought highly of the disciples, and the disciples impacted many people just by hanging out with Jesus. The same thing happens for you. The same thing happens for me. Whoever we associate with, other people are going to see that. Like I said earlier, everything that we do, everywhere that we go, we're going to be seen by people. So we are going to impact somebody else's life, whether we think we are or not. So let's look at the disciples. They had a big impact because they followed Jesus. Who are you following? Who are you modeling your life after? You know, other people are looking at that, and other people can say, I like the way this person's living their life. They know this person's great, so this person has to be great because they follow them. Who are you following? Who you follow can lead other people to follow you or them as well. And are you following somebody that's positive, or are you following somebody that's negative? Jesus' disciples were definitely following somebody positive. And because people saw Jesus' disciples following him, they also chose to follow him. So there goes the disciples. But now let's take a look at this little boy. This little boy, when he probably came out of the house that day, he probably wasn't thinking that he was going to be a part of such a wonderful miracle today. You know, his mother, his parents probably weren't thinking anything of it. They were like, oh, he's just a little boy, you know, he doesn't have much impact on the world. But as we see today, Jesus can use anybody. Jesus could use anything. So when this boy came out of the house, he didn't take the stage. He wasn't somebody that was speaking. He wasn't somebody that everybody came to listen to. You know, he wasn't very well known, and he didn't have a position in leadership. Some of you guys might not be well known. Some of you guys might not be captain of the football team or of the cheerleading squad. You might not be the coolest person in school, but none of that matters. Jesus used a little boy. None of that matters. We all can impact somebody in our lives. Jesus wasn't looking for any of that big important stuff. The one thing that mattered, the only thing that matters was that the boy brought all that he had, and that was enough. The same thing goes for you and me. As long as we bring all that we have, that is enough. Jesus will use it. So wherever you go, whoever you talk to, bring the best that you have. Bring the best person that you are. A lot of times we go places and we think that because I'm having a bad day, I'll just go out. I'll be as quiet as I can be. I won't try to see as many people. I'll just keep my head down. Nobody cares about me. I'm going to go do my thing, and then I'm going to go back home and get into bed, get under a rock, whatever it may be. But we never know. If we go out into the world, even though we're having a bad day, if we keep some happiness with us, if we keep some joy, we find some joy to take with us. Remember that there's joy in Jesus. If we remember all the things that we have from our Father, the power that we have from our Father, we can still impact somebody else. So how could that happen? I'll tell you. We could go out and we could be having a horrible day, but yet there could be an opportunity to help somebody. There could be an opportunity to spread a loving word or encouragement to somebody else. And just in that one instance, that one moment, we could have influence on somebody else. So bringing our best to the table, bringing all that we have to the table, Jesus can use that. So if you think you don't have much impact on other people, let me tell you, you have great impact on other people. All of you guys have had great impact on me. When we were able to show up to church every single week, and I could see you guys in your element, I could see you guys smiling, laughing. Sometimes some of you show up and you might be having a bad day, but it doesn't matter. You came, you showed up, and you shared stories with me. You heard from me. You listened to the messages. And guys, you guys have been a great impact on my life. So whether you guys know it or not, later on down the road, as you get older, you're going to be able to look back and people are going to tell you how you impacted them in a positive way, even though you didn't know that you impacted them in a positive way. I've noticed that many times as I've gotten older about how I've impacted somebody else. And then I've also noticed how I've been able to talk to people who I grew up with or who have taught me things. I've been able to go back to them and tell them like, hey, you taught me this, or you helped me out with such and such situations when it came up in life just by you telling me this years ago. And they didn't know that they were going to impact me in that way. So let me tell you guys, you are going to impact somebody in a way that you never thought was possible. Remember that. You have more of an effect than you think. This life is about you. This life is about you making it the best you can for yourself as well as others. You have an effect on your friend group. You have an effect on, your section of the band. You have an effect on your teammates. You have an effect on your siblings, even your classmates. So guys, I don't want you guys to go through life thinking that you're not, just because you're not popular or just because you're not well known, that you can't have an effect on other people. Trust me, you have an effect on other people. That little boy in the story had an effect on those thousands of people who followed just because he was willing to give everything that he had. If you guys have an opportunity to give everything that you have, will you do it? Will you step up? Or will you think that, just because something is going wrong in your life that people don't care about you or you can't be a help? Just because you're young, I don't want you guys to think that, I can't be a help because I'm young. Adults won't listen to me. You can lead an adult somewhere. You could be an encouragement to an adult who is struggling. I want you guys to remember that. So, guys, I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I hope you guys enjoy this nice weather that's coming. COVID-19 is almost over. Well, I won't say it's almost over, but stuff is starting to open up. We're going to start being able to go out and see friends. Guys, I love you. I hope this message is encouraging for you. You have an effect on other people. You have more of an effect on other people than you think. Remember that. God loves you. I love you. I can't wait to see you guys. Y'all go out and enjoy this weather. Bye.